My name is Jamin. I'm your first friend in Alaska. I'm also an associate real estate broker in South Central Alaska. Today, we're going to be talking about Eagle River, which is kind of the small but mighty real estate market just kind of north of Anchorage. And technically, it is a part of Anchorage, but don't tell the people in Eagle River that. Before we get started, though, do make sure you give this video a like, subscribe, and let's jump into it. First thing we're going to look at is what's going on as far as the inventory goes for single-family residential homes. Well, what we see is that this time last year, there were 68 properties available on the market. 63, and now we're sitting at 71. So we're seeing a bit of an uptick in the number of single-family properties that are available. And looking historically around this time of year, we would expect to see anywhere from about 140 to about 190. So we're still a long ways off from where we were before, but hey, you know what? Baby steps, I'll take it. Next, I'm seeing that the number of sold properties went from 53 this time last year to 44 this year, okay? Now, let's look historically. Historically, I'd expect to see anywhere, really from about 51 to about 64. So the fact the inventory is been cut almost in half, and yet, we're still seeing, with about 6 or so properties off from what we'd expect to see normally. I'd still see a pretty high demand for the amount of inventory that we have on the market currently. Next, we're seeing that the average sold price in Eagle River went from about $500,000 this time last year to about $539,000 this year, for an increase of about 7.8% increase for the appreciation for the average sold price year over year. That's a pretty good, healthy increase there. And I know there were some people talking about, oh, the market's about to, take a nosedive and everything, like looking at the previous year, because the previous year we were like less than 1% increase for the average sold price. And I was like, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I don't think that's going to be the long-term story here. And yeah, next year, obviously, things have shot right up. So we'll talk about some of my theories as to why that might be and why we're kind of seeing some of those, what looks like swings in the data here in just a bit. Next, we see that the number of condos in Eagle River increased slightly from 5 this time of year last year to 6 this year. So not a whole lot of swinging one way or the other as far as the market goes. We see historically, we would expect to see about 27 or about 18 to about 44 condos available on the market. So not a whole lot available compared to what we normally have. Once you get into an environment with some of the higher interest rates, condos start to become a little harder to come across because condo owners tend to want to just hold on to them super hard during that time. And, you can definitely understand why. Next, we see that the number of condos that have actually sold went from 6 this time last year to 10 this year. So despite the inventory being much lower, we're still seeing that the number of condos that are selling has kind of increased year over year. Looking historically, that's actually about what we would see, even with the inventory being a lot higher at the time. So that really does kind of speak to the demand for condos in Eagle River. I think it's kind of a more affordable option for a lot of folks. So, not a whole lot of surprises there. All right, now average sold price for condos in Eagle River. We see this went from about $319,000 this time last year to about $341,000 this year, which means we've seen an increase of about 7% for the appreciation for year over year. And this, not a huge surprise there. We have the fact that the inventory is smaller, and yet we're still seeing the same number of properties that are actually selling. That's a pretty good sign that there's still a lot of really healthy desire for condos in Eagle River. And it's easy to understand why. The community has a lot going for it, and the condo does give you the ability to have a living situation that's going to be more affordable than a single family house. I know everyone likes the single family house, but there's a price tag attached to that, and some people just want to save money, and so condos. Let's take a really quick break here real quick. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you do know that I have a relocation guide for those of you who are considering making the move up here. To get your hands on your copy, make sure you go to my website. The link for that is in the description section down below. Just make sure you register there, and when you're registering, there should be a little spot to make a little comment section kind of a thing, and just make sure you put relocation guide so I know what to send you. And also make sure you include your phone number just so I know what to send you as well. Okay, all done with that? Let's keep it moving. Next, we're going to take a look at what's going on in the multifamily market. So this time last year, we saw 4 multifamily properties available in Eagle River, and now there are 3. So there are not a whole lot of multifamily properties available in Eagle River really at any one time. Not really seeing a big change of that anytime in the near future. Once you get a multifamily property in Eagle River, you usually don't want to let it go. All right, with such a small sample size, not a huge surprise here, but this time last year there was one that sold, and this year there are none that sold, so not a huge surprise there. All right, now this next one is really a crazy graph, and yeah, let's explain this one a little bit. Obviously, this time last year we had like some kind of a larger commercial property that sold, and it threw off all the numbers because this is a really small sample size here in Eagle River. So this time last year, well, a couple of years ago, average sold price, it was right about, we'll say about $430,000, and this year it's about $500,000. So I don't necessarily think that we've increased by that much, but it is pretty indicative that there is a pretty healthy increase for the average sold price in Eagle River, even after pulling out that entire year where we've got that sample size that is just, giving us crazy results like that. Keep in mind, multifamily includes everything from the little duplex, or what some people, call a duplex, when they just have a single family home where they repurposed it and put a mother-in-law downstairs, and now they call it a duplex. It includes that all the way up to like the big 50, 100 unit multifamily commercial property. So it covers a big spectrum. But let's go and give you the quick summary here on the ground. I am saying there's still a lot of demand for really anything in Eagle River. It's a very desirable community, and there's kind of limited space where we can develop into the future. And so we're going to continue to see Eagle River be a pretty in-demand kind of market that people want to get into. And so I do expect to see the demand is going to continue pushing prices, higher and higher. So if you live here, great. If you're wanting to get in here, don't despair. I do hear that there's talk about some interest rates coming down, which is good because I think what's going to happen, I don't think they're going to come down far enough to make a whole lot of new inventory come onto the market. And, that's might not be great, but do keep in mind, it'll still be lower prices. I don't think it's going to be enough really to make a whole lot of new buyers willing to suddenly jump into the market. And let's just hope for that, because that's honestly my biggest fear more than anything else, that the interest rates suddenly come down drastically enough that's going to compel a lot of new buyers to suddenly jump into the market and create more competition in this little market. If you're a seller in this market, pretty solid place to be right now, honestly. We just have to make sure we don't overplay our hands, because the gravity still kind of pulls you down a little bit, and it's not like 2021 where people just took whatever they could get and they were just happy for it, and it didn't matter what you asked for, you're always going to get more. That's not the market we're in anymore. If you're in La La Land and you're not being realistic, people are not even going to be interested in your property, and it's going to sit there forever, and that's kind of on you. I'm just going to say it. It's probably on you if the property has been sitting on the market for a long time and no one's interested, and you haven't been able to make any price adjustments. People still manage to mess up even a market that's this strongly a seller's market, and you hate to see it. But yeah, this has been my market update. Thank you for listening. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you next time.